Greetings everyone! This is a quick promo before the video begins. If you're new to the channel and you didn't know it yet, I am actually an author in addition to being a YouTuber, and I have 2 books that you can get on Amazon. Operation Red Dragon: The Daikaiju Wars Part 1 and The Occult Mafia. The first is sort of a bizarre, absurdist kaiju anime mashup, and the other is a horror noir story with a hint of a western thrown in there. They're both set in the same universe, and at this point have received mostly positive reviews, so you might want to check them out. I've provided Amazon links for both of them down in the description. They're both available in either paperback or Amazon Kindle, and Operation Red Dragon is also available in audiobook form. So if either of these strike your fancy and you want to support a struggling artist, feel free to go down and check out either one or both of them. Alright, the shameless self-promotion is out of the way, we can get on with the video. Thank you all for your support.
Hello ladies and gentlemen, I am the Omni viewer, and I'm back to do a little confirmation and a little speculation regarding those recent Godzilla vs. Kong figure reveals. First and foremost, the confirmation. Remember that little vehicle that comes with the Skullcrawler figure? We now have confirmation of what its acronym name HEAV stands for. Again, I don't know if it's pronounced HEAV, HEAV, or maybe HEAV, but whatever it is, I'm holding off on pronouncing it for now. Anyway, we now know that HEAV stands for Hollow Earth Anti-Gravity Vehicle. I saw a lot of people speculating that the A was for Assault, but looking at this thing, I think it's pretty clear that it's not a military craft, it's an exploratory craft. It doesn't have any sort of obvious armaments. I mean, neither did the Argo, but technically the Argo's primary function is to be a transport, and I think this thing is also meant to be a transport. I'm sure it has some sort of defense, but I don't think it's specifically a combat vehicle. And that defense could be anything from hidden missile compartments to an electrified hull, who knows? And of course, anti-gravity is being counted as one word because HEAV doesn't look as good as an acronym, or sound as good for that matter. Now, if this is truly an exploratory vehicle, that increases the probability that it's a Monarch-specific vehicle. The end of King of the Monsters did say Monarch was going to explore the different Hollow Earth realms, and this vehicle would provide them the means to do so if it is indeed a Monarch vehicle. Also worth noting is that I guessed its function correctly without knowing that, but I'm not gonna gloat too much. Now I'm sure people once again are going to make the whole claim about the anti-gravity prospect completely destroying whatever bit of realism was left in the Monsterverse, but bear in mind that, again, we don't actually know how the anti-gravity works because we don't have the full context for this thing. There could be a perfectly plausible explanation. I say plausible because we might be going into the Star Trek realm of having to do some fudging to make it work, but still, without context, we can't say whether or not this breaks the Monsterverse. And if it is a super advanced vehicle, that's not necessarily out of the question. There's plenty of historical context in the real world for huge leaps in technological advancements when it comes to times of conflict or exploration. So naturally, if you want to explore a very specific place that's hard to get to, you would fast-track the development of technology that would allow you to explore it and get there before anyone else. But again, we don't have the full context, so we don't know how this vehicle works. Let's just reserve judgment for the moment. But there's something else I wanted to discuss, and I noticed a couple other people bringing it up as well. That's regarding the battle damage function of these 6-inch figures. A lot of talk has been made about that, with a lot of people speculating that it's some indicator of how brutally violent the monster fights in Godzilla vs. Kong will be. But it's got me wondering, is it really indicative of what we'll see in the movie? Let's not forget, these were made to be action figures, not collectibles. And battle damage is something that's kind of a staple for these kind of figures. Even when it comes to movie or TV tie-in figures, there is plenty of precedent for figures that feature battle damage that's never seen on screen. Look at Jurassic Park. Many of the dinosaur figures feature dino damage. The bigger figures especially had pieces of flesh that you could take away to reveal the blood and guts and bone beneath. You know, for kids. But very little of that specific kind of dino damage was ever on display in the movies themselves. Granted, a lot of the dinosaurs weren't on display in the movies themselves, but of the ones that were, that still applies. Look at the Triceratops figure that was connected to the first movie. It had a dino damage feature, but that was not present in the film at all. And that's been the case more or less consistently throughout the whole Jurassic saga. Sure, the dinosaurs do some pretty nasty things to each other, but they don't result in that kind of feature. So it's got me wondering if the battle damage we're seeing on these Godzilla vs. Kong figures is also going to be film accurate. There is a strong possibility that it will be. After all, the Monsterverse has been pretty brutal at times, especially Kong Skull Island, where Kong ripped out the big skull crawler's guts with his bare hands. Seriously, it amazes me sometimes that Kong Skull Island didn't get an R rating. And we have word from people involved in the film that the fighting is going to be brutal. But is it going to result in this kind of damage specifically? That I'm not so sure of. What we're looking at here might just be for the figures. Or if it is indicative of what we'll see in the movie, then it's not necessarily the only damage we might see inflicted, but I guess that also leads to the question of who will receive more damage. Either way, I'm gonna reserve judgment on that particular feature, just as I'm reserving judgment on how the HEAV will work. Until we have a bit more to go on, I'm gonna look at this as simply being a feature for the action figures themselves. There's a chance it will be part of the movie, but there's also a chance it won't be. Only time will tell. Anyway, that's the major update for the moment, and I just thought I'd share my thoughts with you guys. Until such time as we meet again, this is the Omni Viewer signing off. If you enjoyed this video, you know what to do. Like and subscribe, then go down to the description to find links to follow us on DeviantArt, Patreon, and Twitter. While you're there, you'll also find the Amazon links for the original novels Operation Red Dragon, The Daikaiju Wars Part 1, and The Occult Mafia. 2 books I think you'll really enjoy. Thank you all, and we appreciate your support.